6 different ways that you can absolutely jack up your everyday carry. Listen, I'm guilty of doing some of these myself. I've learned. I try to implement new strategies, and maybe I can share some of those with you. Number 1, overloading your everyday carry, overloading your EDC. Let's just stick with the acronyms. You want to throw everything in your sling bag, your pockets, your backpack, your purse, whatever. It becomes inefficient. It becomes not effective. It becomes just cumbersome. Too much stuff going on. You need to prioritize the most essential items that you need for that day. Maybe it directly has to do with the task. So maybe Monday through Friday, you need certain items because you need them for work. Maybe on the weekends, you need less items because you're just going to be kicking it around the house. Maybe it's vice versa, because maybe your job's an office job and you just need to bring a pry bar like a renegade and a knife. But then on the weekends, you're a weekend warrior and you're doing all sorts of crap. But don't load everything up every single day, especially if you're not going to be using it. Maybe you figure out a way to slim that down, because if you carry too much of it, it will become a burden. I've noticed this for all sorts of areas in my life, whether it is preparing a diaper bag for the kiddos. If I bring too much shit, it becomes an overload. I bring the diapers and I bring the diaper rash cream and I might bring some toys and then I got some pacifiers. I'm like, listen, I don't use this stuff at home within a 2-hour span with my kid. The likelihood I'm going to need most of this stuff in a 2-hour span while we go to a couple of stores is slim to none. Let me just roll the dice and not bring it. Have the same mentality when it comes to your everyday carry. You could probably roll the dice and just not bring it, but try it out. Overload your everyday carry. See how it feels. See if I'm right, because I think for the most part, I'm hitting the nail on the head with this one. The next way you can definitely jack up your everyday carry, I've said this before, I'll say it again: neglecting maintenance, preventative maintenance, troubleshooting maintenance, fixing something as soon as you identify it. If the little screws in your wallet start backing themselves out, replace the screws. If you notice some squeak going on with a knife or a multi-tool, replace it. Do whatever you need to do. If something is not opening properly, something needs to be sharpened, you need to address that, because if you don't address it, it can become dangerous and become ineffective. It may not work as well as you need it to do, and it could fail you. And then you have everyday carry devices that you're not using because they don't work. So neglecting maintenance could lead to broken tools. It can lead to dull blades, which is my number one culprit. Is I whip out a blade I haven't used in a while and it's not sharp like I want it to be. Or it can be malfunctioning gadgets. So if you have tech, EDC tech that's not charged, or stuff that's supposed to be updated, right? We don't think about that little stuff as well. Your iPad, your phones, any other tech. Make sure you update your Bluetooth knives. I know some of you bulls out there got Bluetooth knives, but it's just not about putting Loctite on some screws. It's also about lubricating stuff, cleaning stuff. Maybe you bring yourself a microfiber cloth, whatever. But maintenance is critical, all the way from your watch to your shoes, to your tech, to your knives. Please do maintenance. Don't F up your EDC with something that's like a slam dunk and for the most part may cost you literally no money whatsoever. Here's an easy way to F up your EDC: carrying prohibited items. If you're in a municipality where you're not allowed to carry a knife set past a certain length, follow that rule. I mean, if you get pulled over by the boys in blue, they figure out that you're not carrying that. It could be as simple as a fix-it ticket and they confiscate the item, or they could haul your ass to jail. Like, there's all sorts of things that could happen in between. If you're in a place where you can't have a knife that locks, you got to have a slip joint or something like that. Follow the rules. For instance, here in Texas, you can bring a gun on school grounds on the sidewalk, but as soon as you go to enter the school, you need to go put it back in your vehicle. So carrying authorized items in prohibited areas is an issue as well. So knowing exactly where you're at, the 51% rule when it comes to alcohol and guns, bringing certain length knives to like the symphony, you might not be able to do that. But it's a very easy way to F up your EDC, because if it's confiscated or if it's thrown away by TSA, hashtag bars, then it's no longer yours. Okay, so let's just keep it real. We want to avoid carrying prohibited items, knowing our local laws, knowing the regulations, because I just don't want to lose my crap. Okay. Legal trouble and losing my stuff is something I don't want to have to endure. Hey, if you're getting good content out of this video, hit the like button. I would appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel as well, because I got a couple of more points, but I just want to see if I've landed that plane so far. Number 4, ignoring comfort. Comfort is a big thing. I don't like to wear too many bracelets on my watches because I kind of get a little bit uncomfortable with a bracelet on my watch. It starts to grab at the hair on my arm. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't like carrying knives that are like 4 inches long. As much as I like my Crooked River by Benchmade, as much as I may love the crew wear of the Adamas, those are some big knives, okay? Even some cheaper knives that are really, really big whomping things, they can get uncomfortable fast. I like to appendix carry at the 1 o'clock. Maybe you should holster carry on your belt if you got a big old belly or something like that. So you have to figure out comfort level with your everyday carry as well. That could include if your stuff is too heavy, if it's too bulky, if it's just overall uncomfortable because you can't figure out where to put the next strap on your sling. You have to think about comfort, not just the stuff that's super obvious like a backpack, but everything that goes down to like, should I put this multi-tool in my weak side pocket if I'm not wearing a belt today? Nah, maybe not. Maybe that won't be the most comfortable thing as well. Choose items that fit your body and your lifestyle. As much as it may be cool to have the biggest whomping M4 or crew wear knife, if you never go outdoors, if you never use it, it's going to be a burden. It's going to be too big. You're adding additional weight you don't need. Go for the comfort. Okay. Don't ignore comfort, because if you ignore comfort, you won't carry that item. Number 5, relying solely on your everyday carry. Now, your EDC can be valuable. They're tools. Whether telling you the time, shoes that are on your feet, backpack that's on your back, but you should not rely solely on your everyday carry. None of the stuff is going to be suitable without proper preparation and training. Now, preparation for a watch, making sure it's set correctly at the beginning of the day. Okay, very, very subtle, nuanced things. But proper training on how to open a certain type of knife, how to close it, how to use your first aid kit, how to properly strap up a pair of boots, that can be critical for your everyday carry, because you may have the coolest gear that you saw on my channel or another YouTuber's channel, but you have no training on how to use it safely. And then next thing you know, you're not carrying it, you're not using it right, or you're not deploying it correctly because you don't know what you're doing. So you may have a glass breaker, you may have a multi-tool, you may have all this stuff that you think is going to help you out of a sticky situation, which could be simply finding something underneath a couch. You don't even have to take your flashlight out of lockout mode. Okay, that's happened to me before. It's going to keep it real with you guys, all the way to thinking that you're going to help somebody, you know, get a jam spark plug out of the block of their engine bay or something like that. If you don't know how to use your gear because you don't have preparation, you're not familiar with the gear, or you have no training, then you're relying on the EDC gear to get you out of a pinch. It's like relying on a socket set to just do the job for you. Like magically the lug nuts are going to get off the vehicle. No, you need to know how to pick the appropriate one, load it up. Do I need a breaker bar? Make sure that there's weight on the tire before I break the lug nuts. Just a lot of things you need to know training wise. Number 6, chasing vanity, or you're chasing after the beautiful photos that you see us creators put on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. You think we have the dopest Hank setup, the very nice knife. The stuff looks barely used because we have a lot of it, right? I don't want you to chase vanity and figure out that those items are not efficient, they're not effective, or they don't work for your life because of any of those other categories. It may be too bulky. It may be too heavy. You may not be familiar with it. It might be out of your price range. You might not know how to do maintenance on it. You know why all those could happen? Because you chase vanity, because you chase the look of the item. You figured out that it doesn't work for your lifestyle. I think that if you can figure out what you need and then center your everyday carry around that, you can make subtle upgrades to the look of your items. For instance, if you never carry a multi-tool and you get a very cheap multi-tool, maybe from Work Pro, you get the Gerber Dime, you get the SOG Power Pint, and you realize I use this thing once a month. This is all I need to spend. But if you're chasing vanity and you end up getting the Leatherman Arc and it costs you over $200 because you saw some dope photos on Instagram, now you've overspent. you've overcommitted, and you don't even freaking use the tool. So that is making you come out of money that you may not have needed to spend. And then here's a saved item, an additional item, not a part of the 6. But you can also fuck up your EDC by being stubborn, not being willing to upgrade your tools, retire a tool, add to your tool, train on your tool, get something that you need. We're all a little bit stubborn. Sometimes we get something within our EDC and we just stick with it. You got that Smith & Wesson knife from Walmart. You got that Swiss Tech knife. You picked up that gas station knife. I'm never going to sharpen it. It's good enough to cut through tape. Stubborn. Okay, people are trying to tell you need a little bit more training. You need to do preventative maintenance. You need to do this. You need to do that. Us being stubborn within our everyday carry can F it all up because it doesn't improve or becomes extremely unsafe. That was an additional. It's not a way. A lot of people may not suffer from being a horse's ass and actually being stubborn within their EDC. But comment down below, which one of these categories have you done? I've done all 7. Okay, I'll raise my hand and say, not only am I a participant, but I'm also the president of the peasant in chief, because I've done all this stuff. If this is your first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.